Welcome to Akulmach, and in our history section, I'm joined by Mrs. Meeta Joshi, who is a prominent historian. And today we are discussing about the life and the contribution of Emperor Humayun. So let's welcome Meeta Joshi ji, and let's find out the contribution of Emperor Humayun. So, welcome to this show, Meeta ji. How are you doing today?
Namaskar, Kanchan. I am fine. How are you?
I'm fine. It's always so wonderful to talk to you and listen to the past and the reflections of the history, and the way you tell us. It's really, really wonderful. So today we are talking about Humayun, and as a historian, what actually you think about this King Humayun, and what is his contribution?
Okay. So let me start with a little background, Kanchan. When Babur established Mughal Empire in India in 1526 AD, after the first battle of Panipat, it was not a cakewalk for him because he was a foreigner. He came to a different land and he has to establish his empire in India. So from the time period between 1526 to 1530, Babur was busy in waging wars and expanding the Mughal dominion. That was like his only task, because there were Rajputs in picture, there were Afghans in picture who never wanted any foreigner to get established in India. So after Battle of Panipat in 1526, Babur had to wage three more wars: 1527, 28, 29. Battle of Khanwa, Battle of Ghagar, and Battle of Chachar. So in these three battles, Babur was able to establish the Mughal Empire. And by the time he could enjoy the fruit, Humayun was a 22-year-old boy that time, or a man that time, and he fell seriously ill. So, as the records say, when Babur saw Humayun ailing in the bed, he took 3 rounds of the bed and he asked God that give me this sickness and my son should be healed. And very surprisingly, it happened. Humayun got cured and Babur passed away. So this was the way Humayun got into the throne at the age of 22 years. Now he was an inexperienced person. He had no idea how to look after this empire which Babur had established. And because of his inexperience, he had head-on fights with the Rajputs and the Afghans. And both were very powerful because Rajputs, North India was the seat of Rajputs. And this very late Akbar understood, and that's why he formulated a matrimonial alliance policy with the Rajputs, because he wanted that Rajput should be on his side, on Akbar's side. But when you talk about Babur or you talk about Humayun, they wanted to, be on an upper position. So they had only one option: wage a war. In this process, Humayun also started expanding the empire. But the problem was, he was an adventurer rather than a consolidator of the empire. And in this meantime, when all this was happening, there was a young Afghan soldier by the name Sher Shah Suri, who had already captured Bihar and Bengal. And Babur gave him a challenge. Humayun gave him a challenge, and Sher Shah had waged wars with Humayun, two wars, okay, Battle of Khanwa and Battle of Chausa. And after these two battles, he was badly defeated, Humayun. And the position was such that he has to flee away from India. So he went to Persia to seek refuge. For some time, he was in Persia, and then Shah Temas, the king there, he gave him refuge. And this time period from from 1530 to 1540, 10 years he was ruling. Then 1540, after these two wars, he had to leave India, and then from 1540 till 1556 is the Suri dynasty rule, because Sher Shah Sur, he established himself in this time. So now Babur was away from India. He went to Kandahar, he went to Kabul, and he tried to build up an army, because now he understood that what mistake he did by taking up a challenge with the Rajputs and with the Afghans, because Sher Shah Sur was an Afghan soldier. So from 1540 till 1555, he did his groundwork. He made alliances with many people, and he tried to build up an army. And finally, in 1555, he marched back to India, and he defeated Sikandar Sur, and again he came to the throne of Delhi, or
Okay.
Mughal
So
Empire. He
he,
again
yeah.
re-established the Mughal Empire.
So actually, once he is defeated and he was a foreigner in every sense, and was it a compulsion for Humayun to really expand his empire in the Indian territory, because he's already having Kabul at that point of time. He is from Kandahar, so things. How was that situation which compelled Humayun to really come to India, and what made him, I mean, make him to really attack and reconsolidate Indian land?
When he was away in Persia, so his one of his brothers, Kamran, he was a very cunning man. So he was not even leaving him peacefully in Kandahar and Kabul. So three times he had to wage war with Kandahar there. Okay. And in the fourth war, he finally killed his own brother, Humayun. And then he understood that whatever empire his father had built in India, so it was a shame for him that he lost it. So because that was the thing which brought him back to India. And then in 1555, he waged a war with Sikandar Sur, the successor of Sher Shah Sur, and defeated him. And again, he captured the entire Mughal territory. And from 1555 to 1556, only 1 year he could rule. And in 15, because he was a scholar, he loved to read. So one fine day, he was coming down from his library, and there were stairs, and he slipped, and there were very bad head injuries, and he could not survive. So 1556, Humayun passed away, and after that, Akbar was coronated as the third Mughal Empire. Now, when we talk about all this Humayun's ordeal, his, coming to the throne, staying there for 10 years, then again going away from India, coming back again, establishing the Mughal rule again, he has learned a lot, and he became mature as a king. Because see, when you get things on a platter, you don't realize the importance. So same thing happened with him, because Babur, with his hard work, had established a Mughal territory in Indian dominion, and this person just lost it. So that thing, was always there in back of his mind, which made him to come back to India and recapture the Mughal territory.
Okay, when we talk about the Mughal establishment in India and uh, uh, the whole clan who's established a great empire after Akbar, but
Mhm.
as a historian, whom you give the credit, Babur for actually conquering the territories, or Humayun who conquered and then again established something? So, how you really rate these two?
See, it will be always Babur Kanchan, not Humayun,
Okay.
because Babur gave his, blood to establish this Mughal Empire. He never enjoyed the fruit because every time he was on his mission to expand the Mughal dominions and the territories, he never had an opportunity to, sit back and think that, oh, I am the Mughal emperor. Because he was always on foot, like waging four wars altogether from first battle of Panipat till 1530. He was just waging, wars against the Rajputs, against the Afghans, so that the Mughal Empire is safeguarded. So Humayun got everything, but he lost it. So it is not Humayun whom you will give credit. Obviously, the credit goes to Babur,
Okay.
because as a foreigner,
Mhm.
to establish your roots in a foreign land is not an easy task, which Babur did very, very nicely.
Okay, so what is the impact of this Mughal Empire, Humayun's getting this land victory on the socio-economic aspect of that time of Indian kingdoms and Indian people?
See, if you see our Indian history, whether it is fortunate or unfortunate, I cannot comment as a history lecturer. But if you look back from 1206 AD, we were slaves. Delhi Sultanate, when Qutbuddin Aibak established the slave dynasty. Before that, also the Ghazni and Ghorid invasions. So, from 1206 AD till 1526 AD, this Delhi Sultanate rule was there, which were again of foreign origin. All the sultans, whether it was slave dynasty, whether it was Khilji dynasty, whether Tughlaqs, whether Lodhis, all were of foreign origin. Then came Babur, who was again a Turk. He was an Ilbari Turk. Okay, so India was under a foreign rule from a very long time. So people had literally, given up. They were like, okay, they are our emperors and we have to live under them. There was no such awakening that, oh, this is our land and we should own it. Only Rajputs had this, feeling. And after Rajputs, Marathas, Shivaji, they had, because Shivaji was one person who was a terror for the Mughal Empire and for the Britishers. They literally were afraid of Shivaji when Shivaji was there in the Maratha region. So Indians were used to, by that time, to be under a foreign rule. So if you see the socio-economic aspect of it, yes, there was a cultural transition, because uh, from the Delhi Sultanate time, it was a theocratic state because Islamic people were ruling. From 1526 also, because Babur and Humayun again had an Islamic origin. So that impact was there, because if you see the architectural buildings or the monuments of that time, they definitely have the Islamic influence. Hmm? For example, you take Humayun's tomb, which is in Delhi. It has all Islamic influence. And before that, also all the literature, all the architecture is influenced by that. Definitely, there is a cultural transition, because when religion is ruling you for a longer period of time, then it definitely impacts everything. So, only if you see in North India, where Rajputs were there, or you see in Maharashtra, when later the Marathas under the rule of Shivaji they came. There only you had these very small, Hindu empires. And, and even at the time of Mughal Empire, there were princely states of Hindus. But then Akbar very, very diplomatically, with the matrimonial alliances, he could take the Rajputs under his fold. And he made his position very, very secure, because by placing the Rajputs in very important positions in the empire, by marrying their girls, the princesses, so he gave the Rajputs an assurance that I am with you. So it is Rajputs were, very, very honest and committed people. Once they give a word, they never stepped back. So this was the thing, there was definitely an impact in the social conditions and the economic conditions also. But one thing which is very prominent, that Islamic influence was more than your own culture and religion.
Okay, when we talk about like socio-economic things and then the religious, especially in Indian land, it plays a very, very vital role even today. So when we talk about Humayun, and I have read somewhere that Humayun has changed his religion from Sunni to Shia. And when he has come to India, what as an emperor or as a head of the state, he was a kind of a benevolent king, because the same thing is we can see in Akbar, or how you really see his profile as a ruler of a foreign land, which is India.
The problem with Humayun was that he was inexperienced, number one. Number two, he was more into adventure. So when we talk about his, personality or his influence on Indian land, I will say it was not that much, because he was absent for a very long period of time when the Sood dynasty was ruling. When Shesha came into power in 1540 up till 1555 AD. So it was a long time period, like 15 years. He was away from India. And he was there in Persia, and he was there in Kandahar. So, he missed a long duration. 15 years is a long time. And then he was just a wanderer that time, because he did not know that time that where to go, with whom I should seek help. So he was struggling. So if you see as a personality, he was like, we cannot deny this fact that he was the second Mughal emperor of India after Babur. But if you ask me about the impact of his rule, it was not like very much, because after him, Akbar could really leave a mark, because till now we remember Akbar of from all of the Mughal emperors till Bahadur Shah Zafar. Only when you talk about Mughal Empire, only one name comes in your mind, that is Akbar, like common people. They know that there was a Badshah who was Akbar because of his policies, because of the reforms what he got in. But when you talk about Humayun, nothing very remarkable, you see.
Yes. In the last, I just want to ask you, as a historian, how you rate Humayun as a second emperor of the India? Because when I visited Humayun tomb and I have read few
Mm.
things about Humayun, I got an impression that he was a very simple person, very religious person, and very down to the earth
Mm.
kind of person.
Mm.
But you see, these qualities are very good for a common person like you and me. But
Mm.
when there's somebody who's heading a huge empire and with a lot of responsibility, so how you really rate this emperor of Mughal dynasty?
See, one thing I can tell you that I cannot say that he was a very great king, but he learned out of his experiences, and then finally he was able to establish the Mughal Empire. But only for 1 year he could live after that, 1555 to 1556 AD. But one thing good what he did, I don't know whether you know or not, how the festival of Rakhi originated in India. There was a Rajput queen, Rani Karnavati, who married the Prince of Mewar. Okay, and his name was Rana Sanga. So when the Afghans were troubling the Mewar territory, they made Rana a prisoner, the Afghans. And Rani Karnavati, that time, she approached Humayun for help. And Humayun kept his word. He waged a war with the Afghans and got back Rana, and they were united, Rani Karnavati and her husband. That time, Rani Karnavati, she, tied a thread on Humayun's wrist, saying that you are my brother from now. So that was the thing, how the festival of Rakhi originated in India. So that is one contribution which, only because of Humayun it could happen, that Rani Karnavati, she chose him as his brother, and he really, kept his promise, and he, as a brother, he always protected her and her husband, or her husband's empire.
Yes, and actually, you mentioned Rocky. I have an idea that it was there, but somehow she kind of re-established with a foreign entity, Rani Karnavati. That's I heard because it was already there. Because I've heard Ganesha's stories tying Rocky and all that. So anyhow, but this is a very important incident. When the two entities, one is Hindu and one is Muslim, and they're coming together.
And it is such a beautiful bond, which is
Yes.
between a brother and sister,
Yes.
and which was secular that
Right.
time, because this feeling was not there that, oh, she's a Hindu or
Right.
I am a Muslim,
Yes.
so why should I help her?
Yes.
So only because she approached him as an elder brother and she asked for help, so
Right.
Humayun helped her.
Yes, so actually we talked about Humayun and all things we wanted to know. You have already told. So I'll be meeting again. I think I look forward for the comment from my audience, and if they want to ask anything, we have an expert, and they can ask anything about this emperor who established Mughal Empire in India. So Mitaji, it is as usual very lovely to talk to you. We'll meet again and discuss all greatness and all great people of India. And till then, bye bye, and you take care.
Thanks, Mitaji, for sharing insight of Emperor Humayun and his rule in India. I will be meeting you again on next Saturday with some more interesting fact about emperors and kings. Till then, bye bye. You take care.